In recent news, it has come to light that the 5 largest banks in America have quietly fired a staggering 20,000 employees. This downsizing trend within the big banks has been happening discreetly, with the possibility of further layoffs looming on the horizon. If we examine the actions of these 5 banks, we will find that they have collectively cut approximately 20,000 jobs this year alone. Among these banks, Wells Fargo takes the lead as the main perpetrator, having cut around 11,000 jobs, amounting to about 5% of their workforce in the current year. What is particularly surprising is that these layoffs went unnoticed by the public and were barely covered by the media. Most people were expecting a smooth transition, unaware of the impending job cuts. Despite this, it is essential to maintain belief in the potential for a soft dish landing. The bank's primary objective remains to achieve a soft landing, and I have not stated otherwise. The obvious question arises, why would 5 of the largest banks in America quietly lay off 20,000 employees? The answer lies in their preparations for an upcoming impact. These banks, well aware of what lies ahead, anticipate a storm that could surpass the magnitude of the previous financial crisis. This perspective is not merely an opinion, but rather a careful examination of the data, facts, consumer behavior, the state of the economy, and the global context. The present times differ significantly from what was experienced in 2008. In this video, I will delve into the specifics to shed light on the current situation. Despite the surprising resilience of the economy, these banks have been quietly laying off employees. The only exception is JP Chase, the largest and most profitable bank in the country, which has been expanding its workforce through the acquisition of financial institutions. This growth strategy allows them to maintain their profitability while others struggle. The job cuts can be attributed to various factors, such as the impact of higher interest rates on the mortgage business, Wall Street deal-making, and rising funding costs. These challenges have forced the next 5 largest banks to reduce their headcount. This downsizing comes after a 2-year hiring boom during the pandemic. However, the question arises whether these banks are heading towards significant problems. Recently, Jerome Powell stated that inflation is still too high and that lower economic growth is needed to bring it down. This implies that interest rates will continue to rise and stay high for an extended period. This scenario is likely to inflict financial problems on consumers, which in turn will affect the investments made by these banks. Notably, their commercial real estate holdings and deposits are at risk of diminishing. Consequently, more pressure and consolidation can be expected in the banking sector. The pandemic-led hiring boom in the banking industry has subsided due to the Federal Reserve's decision to raise interest rates last year. With fewer consumers seeking mortgages and corporations issuing less debt or pursuing acquisitions, banks found themselves overstaffed for the current environment. In response, they have had to implement significant cost-cutting measures. For example, Goldman Sachs, after multiple rounds of layoffs, believes that it has right-sized the bank, and further mass layoffs are not expected. However, headcount at the New York-based bank has decreased, partly due to annual performance reviews and the termination of low-performing individuals. Additionally, Goldman Sachs has divested from consumer finance, a move likely prompted by the financial challenges faced by consumers, as evidenced by increasing credit card defaults and rising interest rates. Consumer savings rates have decreased while credit card losses are soaring, reaching levels not seen since the Great Financial Crisis. What sets this situation apart from the previous crisis is that the average interest rate on credit cards has risen significantly, increasing the debt burden on consumers. This inflationary environment, coupled with record-high interest rates, will likely result in mounting credit card debts, especially during the upcoming holiday season. Furthermore, the burden of student loan debt adds to the financial strain faced by Americans. With approximately 43.5 million Americans holding student loans, the reliance on credit cards is expected to increase during the holiday season. This combination of factors indicates that consumers are in a precarious financial situation. With the continuously softening job market, many individuals may find themselves defaulting on loans and debts. ultimately placing the blame on financial institutions. Goldman Sachs, however, chose to stay away from this situation, possibly recognizing the impending challenges. The drastic decline in the finance sector has forced banks to make deep cuts in their workforce, leaving them with fewer employees than anticipated. For instance, Citibank, which currently employs around 240,000 people, is planning significant changes that could result in job cuts. Mark Mason, Citibank's CFO, revealed that the bank had already identified 7,000 job cuts related to a restructuring charge of $600 million. CEO Jane Fraser's plans include an overhaul of the bank's corporate structure, as well as the reduction of headcount in certain international locations. Other banks are also undergoing similar restructuring processes in anticipation of reduced revenue in the future. Artificial intelligence and technology are expected to play a prominent role in the banking and finance industry in the years to come. This shift, coupled with lower revenue, has led these large banks to reassess their employee structure. While headlines often mention concerns about high inflation rates, it is crucial to understand that inflation is directly linked to energy prices. Ongoing conflicts involving Israel, Hamas, Russia, and Ukraine, among others, will likely impact energy prices. The expectation that increasing interest rates will offset rising oil prices seems illogical. In reality, we are likely to face a situation where liquidity tightens and the cost of living becomes increasingly expensive. Unfortunately, the media often fails to provide a comprehensive understanding of the situation. Instead, they focus on the need to hike rates and reduce spending, without considering the broader factors at play. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell acknowledged signs of cooling inflation, but reaffirmed the central bank's commitment to maintain a 2% inflation mandate. Another significant change can be observed in the automotive industry. In 2008, a used car cost approximately $7,900, while the average car payment currently stands at $740. This means that with the same payment, you could have bought 4 cars back then. This example shows how prices have increased dramatically in various sectors, including food. The previous crisis mainly affected the housing and banking sectors. However, the upcoming situation seems to be an energy crisis that will impact multiple areas. Many homes are in more debt than ever before, and job security is being questioned like never before. The U.S. economy is on the verge of a major overhaul, as acknowledged by several banks, who have been quietly laying off 20,000 employees this year. If the economy were heading for a smooth landing, these layoffs would not be occurring. Instead, banks would be preparing to acquire more assets. The fact that they are reducing their workforce suggests they are aware of the impending trouble. Ken Griffin, the CEO of Citadel, the world's wealthiest hedge fund manager, has predicted that consumers will run out of money by the end of the year. This sentiment is shared by others in the industry, who are all bracing themselves for a significant downturn in the U.S. economy. It is important to note that no interest rate manipulation by Jerome Powell can change this reality. Given the actions of major banks and industry leaders, it is wise to assess why they are taking such measures. It is recommended to position oneself with cash, study the local real estate market, and develop a game plan to capitalize on potential deals. By doing so, individuals can position themselves for financial strength during the forthcoming economic turmoil, which is anticipated to occur between 2024 and 2025. Furthermore, the refinancing requirements for $1.5 trillion in commercial real estate debt in the next year alone and $2.7 trillion over the next 3 years will put significant pressure on big and regional banks. They are well aware that they are likely to incur massive losses across their entire portfolio. As a result, it is expected that big private equity firms, institutional investors, hedge funds, and syndicators will seize the opportunity to buy these distressed properties. The key question is, which team will you be on? The possibility of making substantial profits awaits those who make strategic moves, but it is crucial to thoroughly evaluate the situation and take appropriate actions. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Let's start a discussion.